This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa. Afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching, listening to the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com. Welcome in to the Thursday episode. Oh my gosh, horrible night in Como, and we're going to talk about that for most of the program right here on the Joe Gaither Show. Appreciate everybody joining us on the BamaCentral YouTube channel, on my own social media machines at Joe Gaither 6. You can always send us a comment, a question, a query, or complaint at Joe Gaither 6. And of course, you can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. We appreciate everybody who's downloaded, rated, reviewed, subscribed. Hit those stars. Hopefully it was 5. If not, it's okay. We'd love you anyways. And we're going to have a lot of fun in the Derry Daniel State Farm Studios today. Well, we're going to work through it. We're going to work through the misery, the pain from last night. This is a therapy session today, per se. And we welcome everybody in. You can call if you're watching us live on the social media machines at 205-462-7340, extension 800. We got several voicemails. We will play those really as soon as I talk to Mason. That's probably the way we're going to lead the show. But with that, you follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_ on the Twitter machine. We're also going to take a break away from the misery towards the end of the program. We will have Tom Canterbury joining the show. I recorded an interview with Tom Canterbury yesterday. If you don't know Tom, you're living under a rock. Tom is the play-by-play man for Crimson Tide Sports Network's Alabama softball, and he works in a lot of the athletic venues. So you can hear him on PA for Alabama soccer and Alabama women's basketball. I believe he does PA for them as well. He does PA pretty much. I think he's right behind Tony Giles in the pecking order at the university. Maybe there's somebody else in between, but I think he's pretty much the second person in the pecking order for PA as far as Alabama athletics. So you will hear him talking about this Alabama softball season. The ladies are 6-5.
I'm very, very excited to hear his perspective.
Yeah, well, it's measured. So it's fun. He's introducing a lot of the new softball athletes. Talks about Alyssa Vandegrift, who has dominated softball so far. So we're going to talk to Tom Canterbury. You can follow him at T Canterbury RTR. They've got a new radio station this year that they're on. They have swap stations again. You know those folks at Town Square Mason. They just keep bumping softball to new stations every year. So they're on a new station. You got to find it.
Of course they are.
Right. You got to find a new dial for them. But we'll hear from Tom at the back end. But first, we invite you to follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_. Oh my gosh, my friend. Why don't you give us a second of how you're feeling? I'm going to take this jacket off and sip some coffee.
Yeah, that was a miserable evening for the most part. It was just abysmal from an Alabama standpoint. There's not really much good to take away. Mark Sears, I guess, good offensive performance. Mark Sears, abysmal defense. Absolutely terrible defense.
Yeah, I had you.
Okay, absolutely terrible defense. Just all around. I don't think there was anyone you could point to on last night's team, top to bottom, that played good defense on really any given possession, basically. But I mean, you continue to look good offensively, which, as we have been saying all season, it's only going to take you so far. And here we are in crunch time playing good teams, and it only took you so far. Very, very disappointing evening. Difficult pill to swallow watching that basketball game, realizing, from the opening tip, basically. Woo! Yeah, I told you when you walked in, like it's not often that you pick a team to lose and still give them too much credit. And I did that last night. I picked, I think it said 82-79 was my final score.
Yeah.
And it was a shooting barrage from both teams, but Alabama just I think you could have thrown anybody out there and they were going to score in Alabama last night. So it was just awful. Really, really tough. 2-game skid for Alabama, especially now because I think Florida takes over the second place in the SEC standings.
Yeah.
So you have kind of played your way out of potentially winning a share of that regular season title now, and it's just disappointing all around.
Absolutely. Really, really. I mean, that's the word is disappointing. I mean,
It was all right there for him.
That guy, our friend Edward Osborne on the Facebook machine says, definitely a horrible night. How can they improve the defense? And it seems like they didn't want to play. Well, okay. Well, yeah, we should address Everett first, and then we'll get these voicemails. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Look,
I don't disagree in the fact that they didn't want to be there. It sure looked that way.
The silver lining perspective, which may not be silver lining, but the maybe excuse array perspective is how much has the schedule worn down this team, and with that in conjunction with that is how much is okay. Houston Millette is on the shelf. Darian Reed is on the shelf. Obviously, we know Latrell Wrightsell is on the shelf. You got three guys who would be taking minutes, would be taking the load off. And all of a sudden, this 12-man team that you thought was going to be so deep and running teams all ragged may not be running teams ragged lately because the schedule's been so tough.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could definitely be part of it. I'm going to sit here and try to find any silver lining I can with this loss. And I think another way that we are very late in the season here, so it's a weird time to still be learning lessons maybe, but I still think, looking at this team this year, there's not really hardly anybody that has challenged them offensively the way just went bar for them last night.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
And, they have basically had the luxury of just saying, like, we can play mediocre defense and just outscore everyone. Finally, last night, you run into a team that says, no.
110, no problem.
Yeah. And maybe that's a wake-up call a little bit. Now, like I said, it's February 20th. I wish this wake-up call had come 6 weeks ago. But, we're still pre-tournament, pre-SEC tournament. Maybe this is one of the final wake-up calls this Alabama team needed to finally think goals that, hey, you got to play damn defense.
I had a lot of people in the Twitter comments yesterday, last night, talking about. I said because I put out there that hey, the offense is fine.
Yeah, offense wasn't the issue.
And I got turnovers. I said, yeah, you scored 98 points with the 14 turnovers. Like, yes, that's an issue to overcome. But if you would play an ounce of defense, not the turnovers take your offense from that's a 100 on the rating to 98.5. Takes you down a notch or two, maybe even 97. You want to knock them 3 percentage points for the turnover, but the defense. It was atrocious last night.
It's back to like last season levels of defense.
Yes.
Last season levels of non-existent defense.
Yes, exactly. And maybe it is just because we're tired. Midway through the year, we're tired. I don't know.
You got a lot of basketball left.
Yes, the schedule ahead is disgusting. So if you're tired, I don't know where you catch your break.
I would,
you ain't catching your break on Saturday.
You would hope that a Nate Oates team, given the style of play, the amount of conditioning that we know that they do, surely they're not tired at this point in the season. Hopefully.
All right, so new feature on the show. We've been pushing it hard. If you follow us on the social media machines or if you've been listening, voicemails from last night. Let's go to those. You can call the show at 205-462-7340, extension 800. I know our Monday phone call didn't go as smoothly, but again, we have rewired some things, so hopefully going to get a phone call or two in here reacting to the game. But we did get a lot of voicemails. I think we got a voicemail. The first voicemail happened like in the middle of the show yesterday. I didn't see it ring. So yes, bad host. That's terrible. I didn't see the phone ring. And so we got a voicemail.
I think you're underselling. I mean, we really had to do some like serious audio engineering here to get all this working out.
I hope so.
Like,
I mean,
we really we tirelessly worked on this board for hours the last week.
1,000 hours,
out. Yeah.
10,000 hours.
I would estimate probably around there.
Here's the voicemails from the last 24 hours.
I'm live to discuss. This is Roy from Lake Gunnersville. Just wanted to try to get on live to discuss. This is Roy from Lake Gunnersville. Just wanted to say no Alabama fan should be given to these third-party documentary paywall people. They are using the labor and sweat of our boys to get rich. Every penny that you want to pay to support Alabama needs to go to bring in new athletes. We need athletes that can beat Michigan. We need athletes that can beat Georgia, and if we were to play in a playoff. We need athletes that can beat Oregon. In basketball, we need players that can beat Auburn. We need players that can shoot the mid-range. So when the boys get cold from three, when the lights turn bright and the defense has the rim locked up, they can get themselves going. We used to have the best athletes, but now everybody pays, and our fans are giving our money to these third-party systems who are making money off the sweat of our players. It's a crime.
That's
it's
a good
wrong.
point.
Yeah.
Roll Tide.
This is Roy from Gunnersville, Lake Gunnersville. Now you see my point? Giving money to these third parties to extort the Alabama athlete is a shame. We need to use that money to buy some people who can play some defense.
Cool. Yeah.
Giving up a school record to a lowly team like Missouri, it's a shame. This is the Alabama Crimson Tide. How can we give up 110 points to little Missouri if we want to be a national champion? Look, if you stink,
Preach it,
losing
Roy.
on the road to Missouri is acceptable. If you're mid, it happens. But this is Alabama. We're supposed to be the best. We're supposed to be winning Final Four games, winning the conference, and playing for national titles. Just because NIL is in the house, just because everybody can pay people now and not just Alabama with a Dodge Charger, does not mean that we need to take a back seat just because the football program is in demise. Football is down. Basketball needs to save us. We're the people of Alabama. We do not have much. We have sports. We have Alabama Crimson Tide to make us happy. So why won't they make us happy? Folks, it's time to pay up. Pay yay, Alabama. Pay the players. Get us some good players. These guys cannot defend. They stink. They need to shoot the ball, shoot the mid-range. The threes were falling, but they could not defend. All they could do was turn the ball over. This is shameful. Roy from Gunnerville out.
All right. Your note convinced me. We should pause it right there because I have been building these voicemails all in one file, but I think that your note is right. I need to use this pause function and get these callers and respond to each of them. What do you think? Roy from Gunnersville, good. Some good, some bad.
I was with you on so much of what you said, Roy. You know, you were like 90% of the way there for me, and right until you mentioned the mid-range shot. That's where you lost me. You know, you will not, we on this show, on the Joe Gaither Show, you will not ever convince us that the mid-range shot is a valuable thing in basketball, unless you can present me.
That fella sounds like he's about 78 years old.
Unless you can present me with someone who will make 7 out of 10 shots from the mid-range, or if not, or more. It is a useless shot to me. It is value. I
mean, the boy shot 40% from 3 last night.
Yeah, pretty dang good. I appreciate the sentiment of the do not give your money to the Fox Nations, do not give your money to ESPN Plus or whoever it is to get any bit of Crimson Tide stuff. If you want that, go. If you're going to seek that kind of thing out, a subscription-based thing, give that money to Alabama, sure. I don't think it should be up to the fans to pay for all of this stuff still. Like, that money for all of these fancy NIL deals that they're giving to these kids, I still think let's pull that from somewhere else and not shake down our fans for it, and then also ask them to pay however much money for tickets on Saturday. But regardless, I do agree with the sentiment of like, if you're going to spend that money, at least spend it for something that is going to go to what you want.
Yeah. Oh, he's right with that.
Yeah.
To your point, Yale, man, we've been poking and prodding, and they've been doing better. They've been absolutely
really
doing better. But you're going to let Fox Nation come in here with a film crew?
That's crazy.
When you have, I'm sorry, like maybe I am. Maybe this is Ebenezer Scrooge of me, or what? But look, where did I find you, Mason? I found you free bleeping labor, and if free labor from the university. I need help at the radio station. I need help. I am drowning in work. And what happened? They found me. The Lord put them in my life massively. A lot of them have become some of my best friends, really. But yeah, I needed labor, and the university had just bodies on bodies on bodies. You can't tell me that there's not a film major, there's not a film crew, there's not a class that we can enroll, like a high-level graduate class. Guys,
here's your yearly project.
Here's the fall project. Right, exactly. You got this is a double semester class.
Yeah.
And the first semester is all in. We're filming the fall practice. We're filming the documentary, whoever our subject is on the football team. And the second semester is all post-production, guys. Here's how post-production goes. And then roll it. You got free labor.
We're giving you these ideas for free.
And you gonna let Fox Nation come in here? No, I didn't go look for it yesterday. I had a friend comment about it. About the same sort of thing that Roy was talking about the death of the college older fella, death of college football, this and that and the other. And he said, I can't believe he thought he misunderstood first. He said, I can't believe they're going to invite a film crew from Fox to come in. And I said, oh, such and such. This they filmed it last year. It's coming out this week. He said, oh, is it out? I said, I haven't seen it yet. It's behind the paywall. And he said, hopefully somebody will screen record it.
That's what we're looking for. We need a hero.
I need a hero.
It could be you.
All right, Roy, we appreciate your call. Call back again anytime.
Yes,
anytime the show is open to you. Let's keep going.
We will convince Roy of the mid-range shot being valueless.
Honestly, just a horrible game, not what you want to see. It reminds me a lot of the Kentucky game last year. Certainly, we've got to bounce back. Fantastic game from Mark Sears, but defensively, he was getting hunted. Holloway was getting hunted defensively. Stevenson was getting hunted defensively. I mean, defense has to improve. I mean, I have no concerns offense-wise except for starts. We always start off badly. We started bad against Auburn, lost by 9. They went up 9-0. We lose by 9. Missouri, they go up 12-0. We lose by 12. I think you really just got to come out there ready to play. I think we need a new starting lineup. I think Phylon definitely needs to stay, continue getting the minutes he's getting. His hustle's definitely noticeable. I mean, he needs to be the primary ball handler, and it's no shade on Mark Sears, who had a great game, but he's turnover prone, and he's not a true ball handler. He needs to be playing that 2 position. All right, thank you.
I'm pausing right there because that's a great call. That is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a ball knower right there.
Yeah, hey, you sir, call back anytime you want. You have it open. The phone line's wide open to that. Oh gosh, my man's simple. We go down 9-0 to Auburn, we lose not by 9. We go down 12-0 to Missouri, we lose by 12. Just absolutely. This will send me into my rant that I texted you yesterday. The disrespect for the damn game. I'm like, are we not? Do you not respect the opponent? Do you not respect the game? Do you not want to win an SEC regular season championship? I know that's the lowest that's the lowest goal we got, guys. I know. The bigger goals are SEC tournament, and I know the bigger goals are, Elite 8, Final 4, national title.
Sure.
But baby, guys, it starts. You don't win a national championship without building blocks, the base blocks. And it starts with respecting the damn game. Respect. My man's is right. He didn't leave a name, but offense is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
You scored 98 points.
Don't
You
need to
shot
change.
40% from three. Okay, the layups that we were talking about over the weekend were 13 of 18 from that's home stats. Let's go to the visitors. Yeah. Oh, visitors were even better from three. We're 42%. I was on the wrong sheet. You're 14 of 24 from layups. So not 14 of 30. You didn't miss 6 more, but you made about the same. Better percentage. We're on track here, guys. You scored 1.289 points. Baby,
We'll take that every
you
day.
cannot ask for another decimal point. You flip it, though. Look at this. You're never going to win any game ever giving up 1.447. Like, to put this in perspective, like, there were not 100 possessions in the game. There was possessions 76 for Missouri. Basically, this number moved the decimal point 2 places over to the right. If they played a 100 possession game, just even each side gets 100 possessions, Missouri scores 144 points. Does that make the points per possession clear to you? 144.
I mean, just absolutely atrocious. Like I can't. I'm almost struggling to think of worse performance. I don't know the last time I saw a performance this horrible from Alabama. 1 point. That's horrible.
Mark Mitchell, former McDonald's All-American, Duke transfer, finding new life in Missouri. 31 points, 11 of 15. Had nothing for that young man inside. Had nothing, no answer. 8 for 12 from the free throw line.
My man got those points the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, what was their points in the paint? Let's see it. I know it was bad. It was okay. We got outscored 40-38. Absolutely atrocious. And at the point where Alabama was trying to dig back in, Alabama was getting to the rim very well because Missouri was, we're closing out hard. You know, they're getting to the rim very well. And it's like, I tweeted at one point, okay, so you can get to the rim, but can you get a defensive stop? And can you get 2? Because that was the impossible thing is we'll get 1, we'll go down and score, and then we'll give it up. We'll give it up. We'll give it up. It's like we got to the trick, guys, is 2 defensive possessions in a row. You don't.
You cut into a lead. Otherwise, you're just going 1 for 1 here. Oh man,
that young. Okay, so the continuance of that. Do you respect the game? Last year was magic. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I'm not. I will not trade anything in this world for that. To not have that experience.
You were playing with house money.
I wonder if you've got leaders from last year's team, Mo D, Mark, Grant, the guys who were actually on the team. And I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. But my question right here is, did last year's Final Four run teach the leadership squad, teach the leadership part of the team that, it's just a Wednesday night in Como. Mm-hmm. We can flip the switch late. Because they've been winning games at a much higher rate than last year.
Sure.
And I think athletically speaking, personnel-wise, I think those 2 factors are more suited to the style, are more suited to Nate Oates' team, are more suited to the defensive ask, what we're asking them to do. But I don't think the effort's been any better as far as the entirety of the year. Entirety of the year. Now, I think, you look at defensive efficiency. I haven't looked at KenPom this morning. He was at 40 last night. Just disgusting. Defensive efficient. But it was at like 100 last year. So it was like 102, 110. So it is better. We've got to recognize that it is better. But I think it's better. I wonder if it's better. They dropped to 46, from 40 to 46. I think it's better because you reloaded the roster, you shuffled up the personnel, and we're putting, more complete looks on the floor.
It's not better from an attitude, an effort, a philosophy standpoint.
Exactly.
It's just, hey, we did get better guys on this team than we had last year.
Longer arms, more bigs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There's just so much more that could be gotten out of this.
That's
team.
what drives me absolutely bonkers is that I think Auburn is as close to their ceiling as they're going to get. And Bruce Pearl, he's got a really Nate Oates has an easier job right now than Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl has their team at max right now. And so his trick is, can I keep this bad boy at max for another month and a half?
It's tough to do.
Yeah. It's not
to do.
Like, we gonna keep him on max for another month and a half. It can be done.
Sure.
I'm not saying it can be done,
But all it takes is one conference loss you didn't expect, one road game.
You just run out of
lay an
gas
egg a little bit, and then it's like everybody looks around a little bit. Man,
you just run out of gas,
Plates.
and that's how a Yale happens. Like,
Yeah.
And so I think he's got a harder task because look. Did you pay attention to the post game? Probably not. It's okay because you didn't have to write.
I missed it. I know there was a fire.
Yes. So, procedure. Road team always goes first. Get the road team into the press conference so they can say, "Oh, we lost. Oh, we won. We're getting out of here." Whatever the case, we're leaving. Right? They got a road trip. I get a text. Has Nate started? No. Has Nate started? No. And then I get, they let Dennis Gates go first. And you know what was going on. Nate was in there peeling the paint off the walls going, "You mother, where's your hard hat, blue collar this? You white collar softy son of a guns." Like, I had a friend text me this. I'm using her line. I'm using her daddy's line. What did she say? Softer than cotton candy in the rain.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
That was those guys. Those boys are softer than cotton candy in the rain. And I thought, I'm sealing that. But Nate was just like, that's why he didn't get in there.
I guarantee it.
It was you. I can't believe you let one slip. Oh, the league title. And good on you, coach. I hope you were. I hope I am not wrongfully assuming. But it took him a while to get there. When he did get there, he got sat down for about 45 seconds, and then fire alarm went off. He's like, "Well, they were on fire," and they left.
I mean, you saw him, reach into his bag of tricks last night, and obviously, that technical, I think was. I do think it was Nate getting emotional a bit and getting frustrated, but also I think he does know in the back of his head, I got to do something to get this team fired up. So you go out there, you use your technical foul as the coach.
First time this year,
first one this year. It just did nothing for this team. I mean, you get a little run, I guess. You brought it within 10. I think you tied it at one point. Real late, you tied it, but then just right back to it
in that half. Yeah, in that. But no, they were never ahead. 2 games in a row, not a single time on the lead. Now let's keep going with the voicemails, and we'll see what happens.
What's going on, Joe and Mason?
Oh my God! Before I play these, this is a friend of mine who I have a question for you, sir. I love you. Thank you for calling. I don't know if these are. I don't know if these are him saying if him in his mind thinks I don't know if the voicemails worked or not, or if this is him just so worked up over these games. So let's hear my friend Hunter as he calls in.
Pretty disappointing loss. There's no other way around it. I'm pretty sure that all 3 of us could go out there last night and put up 10 to 15 points if we wanted to. I mean, it looked like a conga line out there for Missouri tonight. There was no resistance on the ball. There was no energy. There was no fight. And just all around embarrassing effort from everybody that played. I know a lot of people are going to blame Sears, and I've been seeing a lot of it on the X machine, but it's really everybody, man. It really is. What's going on, Joe and Mason? Really disappointing loss tonight. No other way around it, especially on the defensive end. I'm pretty sure all 3 of us could go out there and score 10 points last night with the defense that showed up. I mean, it was a freaking conga line to the basket all night long. Just no resistance, no effort, no fight, and it's really embarrassing, to be quite honest with you. But I've said this once and I'll say it again. With the 7 games we have to end this season, there will not be a team in the country more prepared for March Madness than we will be. I promise you that. And if we can't make a run or at least get to the Sweet 16, then we have no one to blame but ourselves.
Amen.
Point blank, period. But as far as the game goes last night, I've been seeing a lot of people blame Mark Sears for the loss. And, I mean, he didn't play great, but I'm not going to kill the guy for having 30 points and keeping us in the game all night long.
Sure.
I thought he played decent. He definitely didn't play his best, but nobody did. So I don't know why we got to throw shade at him and throw him under the bus for a guy that's done so much for this university and for a guy that led us to the Final Four last year. I just want to know y'all thoughts on that. And we got a big one on Saturday. We're gonna have to. What's going on, Joe and Mason? Really disappointing loss last night. No other way around it.
No other way around it.
I'm pretty sure that all three of us could
Is
have
there a
went out there
combo
last
under the
night
basket?
and dropped 10 to 15 points on that defense. I mean, the effort was not there. There was no fight. There was no desire. And it was just a straight conga line to the basket all night long for Missouri. But I've said this once and I'll say it again. There will not be another team in the country more prepared for the tournament than we will be. With the freaking bustle that we have these last 7 games, and on top of that, the SEC tournament
Give it to me,
soon
Hunt.
to follow. If we can't reach the Sweet 16, if we can't reach the Elite 8, it's no one's fault but our own. The defense has to get better, and you got to quit turning the freaking ball over.
Yes.
Especially live ball turnovers specifically. But I've seen a lot of people blame Mark Sears for this loss, and they've thrown him under the bus. And I really don't understand why. The guy had 30 points. I get it. He turned the ball over, but hell, everybody did. So I don't know why we got to point somebody out, specifically Mark Sears, who got us to the Final Four last year and was by far our best player when we needed him most. I mean, like I said, granted, he didn't play his best game, but I feel like Grant Nelson is more of the problem right now. The dude's a minus 40 in his last 2 games, and it's hard to win with him on the court right now, but you just got to have faith in the coaching staff and faith in him that he can turn it around. I'm not sure what the deal is as far as that goes, but we're going to have to regroup. We're going to have to get better defensively. We're going to have to show some toughness. Kentucky's a good team. If they get fully healthy, I mean, they could beat us just as well. So that's all I got to say. Really irritated right now on this performance, but I know we'll be more prepared than anyone, like I've been saying, come tournament time with the bus all we have coming up. What's going on, Joe?
All right, I'm gonna pause it right there because you get the idea. I think it keeps going like that. I think I got 4 or 5 of those from my man Hunter. Brother, we love you. Keep calling 205-462-7340 extension 800. If you want to call, be a part of the program, you can call while we are live at 8 a.m. Oh, Mason, I'm firing you on Monday, bro.
Yeah, I've heard. Apparently,
Yeah, I gotta get.
I saw I read the tea leaves a little bit.
Yeah, I think the show has to be at a consistent time. I think the people need it so that we can I don't think we can do Mondays at 3. I think that that's just I don't think it works.
Works better for me, honestly, if we don't do Monday at 3.
That's what I wanted to hear. I didn't want to twist your arm into it. You're not fired for performance. We're fired for availability. Only on Mondays only.
Sure.
Special guest coming up this Monday. Dun dun dun. Who's walking through that door? I promise you, it's not The Rock. It's not Cody Rhodes.
Randy Orton. I'd lose my mind.
Only if he RKOs me through the table right here on the set. But no, surprise guest host on Monday, 8 a.m. We're swapping all 5 days, 8 a.m. Gross. I don't know how I got there, but with this past with his points. Well, you want to start with Mark Sears? Let's go to that because that was a nasty edit, and I disagree with your response to my Jalen Milroe, Mark Sears face edit.
Oh man, I saw that running wild on the Twitter machine last night.
Does Mark Sears have a deficiency that he just can't overcome, like Mr. Milroe had maybe a deficiency that he never overcome?
I may have to say it. Mark Sears is just objectively never going to be a good defender. He's just never going to be a good defender. He is too small to defend. I love what he can do offensively. You are a fantastic slasher. You can shoot extremely well. You can distribute the ball well at times. I love him. I love Mark Sears. He has done fantastic things for this basketball team. Hunter said it in his call. He carried them back to the Final Four last year. It was awesome.
But the first caller, second caller, said they hunted Mark Sears.
Bingo.
Keep going.
And they're not the first team to have done that.
Mm-mm.
Not the first team to have done it this year. Teams did it last year. It's just unfortunate. Defenses teed off on Jalen Milroe because they knew he couldn't pass. They knew that he wasn't going to beat them with his arm. They knew if they got a little bit of pressure on him, he was going to go happy feet back there and probably throw an interception. This is the way that teams are teeing off on Mark Sears when they see him at the top of the point ready to defend. They know, all right, there's a path to the basket.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, and it's
Stop the ball.
Mark Sears is trying. Sure, I think the effort is limited at times, but I do think we've seen the improvements from last year a little bit, but it's not even that. It's just it's a size thing. You are objectively, you're never going to be the defender that Alabama absolutely needs out there on the perimeter. They need a 6'4", 6'5", more lengthy guy who can actually protect that. I love you, Mark Sears, but it's 6 foot and some change. You're not quite cutting it.
He's in a weird spot, man.
Yeah, because he's again so fantastic offensively.
That and
he's such a leader on this team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's such a weird spot because I think Mark is about maxed out as a player as far as. You've hit all your skill caps.
Yeah.
You are. I think you take the tools that God gives you. You try to maximize them the best you can. Well done, Mark. You are maximizing them.
Yes,
that's you're doing that. But the game sometimes dictates life.
Sure.
And certain skill sets. There's a reason why he hits the biggest shot in Alabama history, and arguably one of the biggest shots against Clemson to that deep three to send him to the Final Four. But your NBA looks are almost nil. Mm-hmm. You get some workouts this past summer. You do. You get some workouts, but it's might take you the last pick of the second round.
I mean, just like he has to be so lights out incredible at really everything to be considered to be in the NBA because his size is such a limiting factor. And unfortunately for him, he's just a really good scorer and a slightly above average defender maybe.
Yeah, and there's some baby NBA players in this SEC. There's some. Mark Mitchell is an NBA player. I don't know much about. I don't know that the other scorer. What was his name? Caleb Grill. I don't know that he's an NBA player.
He's
because of how old he is.
Basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Been in college 12 years. I don't know. Alabama's taking advantage of that. Mark Sears super senior year. Grant Nelson extra COVID year. Mm-hmm. But man, it will be nice to not. Man, this guy played at XY Southern University 5 years ago, mm-hmm. and now he's still playing. I can't wait. I will be happy when we get back to the 5 years to play for. 5 years to play for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah, I hate to do the Jalen Milroe comparison to Mark Sears, but
it's not fair.
It's not fair.
Mark's legacy is 10 million times. I'm sorry.
Yes.
And you can call me crimson colored glasses or whatever. Mark's legacy is far and away above what Jalen Milroe's legacy will be.
Absolutely. The impact that each of them had on their respective teams.
About the same.
I mean, as far as the legacy thing, Mark Sears took Crimson Tide basketball to their first Final Four. Jalen Milroe. A lot of people won titles for this Crimson Tide football team, Jalen. I'm sorry, you didn't really do much, buddy, in the grand scheme of things. So you're totally right. Mark Sears' legacy is so much wider for his impact on the basketball program as a whole compared to what Jalen Milroe did to the football program as a whole. But if we're just talking purely X's and O's, they are both players who are extremely skilled in a lot of ways and are probably in a lot of those ways some of the best in the country at that. But then they just have a physical limitation that does not allow them to reach that next level of being, the elite player. They're very good, but just can't get there because, and through no fault of their own, they're just limited. Now, Jalen Milroe, I don't really know if you can say it was physical limitations with him. I don't know. He has all the size to play quarterback if he wants to. Mark Sears, though,
he couldn't throw the ball.
Yeah.
He couldn't work out his throwing mechanics.
I guess that's all it was, But Mark Sears, you just
his eyes didn't work.
Just don't have the size. You don't have the size that you need to be an elite point guard. He would have to be.
I think Mark.
Good.
I think Mark. To his credit, fits what we're trying to do a whole lot more than what Jalen Milroe fit what we're trying to do.
Sure.
He scores 30 points last night. He scores 30 points. He had a good game on the offensive side.
So good offensively.
Still turned it over 4 times.
Jalen Milroe was so good at running the
football.
football.
The dang basketball off your foot. Oh my gosh. That's been my pet peeve with the turnovers, is the fact that they haven't, in my opinion, been so much as we're just driving to the basket and kind of getting
swatted or something.
Right. Yeah. It's been stupid. Aiden Holloway, I'm passing it 90. You've cut it to 10. You've cut it to 10, and you've gotten the defensive stuff. That
one was so
I nearly threw my shoe through the TV. You've cut it to 10. Aiden gets a rebound, and you're in the back corner. We ain't going nowhere from here. But no, I'm going to try to throw and pass 94 bleeping feet that just gets intercepted, and boom, you're right back to work on defense. We're trying the defensive work. We're all acknowledging is very, very difficult. We finally succeeded, and we're just going to urinate it right away. Just we don't care. Back to work. This hard job that we're struggling with. Back at it, boys. It's the carelessness that's driving me nuts with the turnovers, because the defensive stops are so precious right now. They are. That every time you have an offensive turnover, you are actively just shooting yourself because it's back to work on defense. Yes. that you just are struggling so bad with.
You get your 1 step forward with your defensive stop, and then it's 2 steps back with your turnover. And you cannot dig yourself out of a hole that way because you're constantly digging deeper.
Wendell Hare on the Facebook machine says maybe this team is sandbagging to get ready for the tournaments.
He might be. That's speaking a little bit what you were kind of getting at. I think maybe
I wouldn't say sandbagging, but it just
I do think there is something to be said.
Go ahead.
The Kansas City Chiefs this year, I think, were a prime example in the NFL, which admittedly, we're talking apples and oranges, football to basketball. But I think for a lot of the season, I understand they had the best record in the NFL, but I think for a lot of the year, they did not beat anyone by an impressive margin. They really just kind of did just enough.
Yeah.
To win. We'll lock in the last 5 minutes of the game, go get our last touchdown, and we'll win by 4. They did that the whole year. Now, it did not work for them up when they got to the Super Bowl.
Bit their butts.
But you were able to do that and find yourself in a championship game where, let's be honest, you get there, everything goes out the window. It's everything that happened up to this point does not matter. These are 2 teams meeting on a field to play each other, 2 teams meeting on a court to play each other. So the blueprint for kind of doing that is there. I think Georgia football kind of does it too a little bit, where they go through the regular season just knowing, all right, we're fine. We just got to turn that switch on in the fourth quarter, and then we go win the game by a score. We get to the end of the year, let's really lock it in. Again, did not work for them. You got beat, but I think the blueprint to at least getting there using that method is kind of there.
But I think
it's harder in basketball.
You're right.
You got a lot more games to play in basketball.
You're making a correct point. But my opinion is you got to be sharpening your gosh darn knife. Sharpen the knife every day.
This is why we saw the teams that did that fail when they got to the playoffs.
Yes.
Kansas City Chiefs, Georgia Bulldogs, whoever you want to say.
Take the knife to the millstone every day, because another team, the Philadelphia Eagles are.
Yep.
and they go embarrass you. All right, let's table basketball for a little bit because we can keep going with this tomorrow. We got a lot to get into. Let's go to softball today. I'm standing in for Katie Wyndham at the softball press conference. I will read off Katie's questions. We'll say that. I mean, I can come up with a couple myself, but Katie actually has something she's
insightful ones.
She's working on something. She
you.
wants a quote, and we can do that for you, ma'am. Absolutely. So I'll be over there at 2:00 to shake Patrick Murphy's hand and welcome them back to Tuscaloosa. They're coming back from a 2-weekend road trip, and I spent time with Tom Canterbury yesterday in the old studio, my bedroom. You can listen to Tom and Gray on Catfish 100.1. He says that right here, and this is kind of just a little insight and preview for Alabama softball this season. All right, and we're going to step away from normal programming on the Joe Gaither Show and have a lot of fun previewing softball. Yes, this is pre-recorded. We recorded it last night, Wednesday evening, as Tuscaloosa froze. Goodness gracious, the weather is not conducive to the start of softball season, but we're here. I'm very blessed. I'm very proud to have the privilege of having Tom Canterbury join me. He is the play-by-play man for Alabama softball. You can hear him this year on a new frequency around town, 100.1 Catfish Country, 100.1 on your dial. Catfish Country will have an app. If you are out of range, you can download that Catfish Country app to make sure you hear all of the Alabama softball games, even if they're not on your TV. You can listen to Tom Canterbury and Gray Robertson. The Crimson Tide Sports Network brings you all the Alabama softball this year. Tom, thank you for your time and welcome. And how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, we have a bunch of different ways you can watch and listen to us this year. You got Catfish 100.1 FM. You got the Catfish app. We're on the Varsity app all year long as well. So yeah, we're there. And this week we actually have multi-platform excellence as the SEC Network Plus is taking our radio feed for the broadcast this weekend for the Bama Bash. So it's going to be a lot of Tom and Gray this weekend for you.
Oh, that's good. That's the recipe that we like in the Alabama softball family. Will you have the webcam facing you guys? And can we work the webcam into SEC Network Plus?
We'll see what we can do. I know we will have the booth cam at some point. We're still, because there's basketball and baseball still going on. It's not every game, but we'll have it at some point for sure.
Well, we love the highlights from the webcam. You guys getting excited for the ladies every time they make big plays. And there's been big plays already this year. 2 weeks in, a couple nice wins, maybe a couple disappointments, but still very, very early. 6-5 on the early season. Had a weekend tournament in Arizona, had a weekend tournament in Florida, and now we're coming back to Tuscaloosa. So for anybody who hasn't plugged in quite yet, the spring sports always catch up to me. There's going to be a lot of change. Caleb Beaver no longer with the program. You brought in a lot of talent in the portal and from the recruiting train. What are we making of this team so far? Obviously, a lot to work on and a lot to grow. But so far, through 2 weeks, how has the team kind of looked to you, and what's been exciting for you?
A lot of the new faces have been really exciting. Starting off at the top of the order with Audrey Vandegrift, who has been just amazing as a true freshman. Batting. She just, after last night, as we're recording, just dropped below 500 in the batting average, but still doing outstanding. Yeah, she's 15 of 16 stolen bases against UCLA in Clearwater. Led off the game with a home run and had a RBI double her next at bat. And it just makes it where defenses don't know what to do with her because she can slap, she can bunt, she has all the speed in the world, but she can also knock it out of the ballpark. So it's going to be very difficult for defenses to kind of figure out how to deal with her moving forward. Larissa Pruitt behind her, the junior, has really stepped up. She had 9 RBIs all of last year, already has 8 this season, and is a great 1-2 punch at the top of the order, followed by Lex Papillo, who transferred in, power hitter coming out of Northern Iowa, who at the Rocket City Showcase in Huntsville on Tuesday night hit maybe the longest home run I've ever seen at Alabama, only maybe behind the iconic shot that Bailey Hemphill hit at Auburn in 2021.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at it because you're in the Trash Pandas Stadium, the minor league baseball park, and it was down the right field line. And down the right field line for the baseball park, it's 325 down the line. And this home run hit right at the warning track of that. So, I mean, it was absolutely demolished. And the question for her was going to be, she put up great numbers at Northern Iowa. Will it transfer coming up to a higher division team? And boy, has it. It has been amazing to watch her hit. The offense, which has been the issue for Alabama in years past, even though that issue did result in Alabama going to the Women's College World Series the past 2 years. The issue. Right. You wanted a little bit more consistently and a little bit more power from your offense. The offense is giving that for Alabama right now. The problem right now for Alabama has been looking for consistency defensively in the pitching circle. Like you said, Caleb Beaver is not here anymore. Montana Fouts is a couple of years gone. So it's a little bit more of figuring out where everybody is going to fit in that pitching staff. Jocelyn Brisky, the sophomore out of Phoenix, Arizona, who had some great outings last year, kind of thought she was going to be the number one, and I think she still will be. But she has had some struggles here to start off against some really good teams. And then Caitlin Riley, the transfer from Ole Miss, has really been the stalwart. She's come in and she leads the team in innings right now and ERA and has pitched extremely well for Alabama. But she has never been asked to pitch twice on a weekend or do multiple complete games over a series. So she's still kind of stretching that part out. So you're just looking for more consistency there. As far as the record, like you said, 6-5 right now. Obviously, not the record you want to have, but
you've been playing really big teams, right? I mean, talk
right.
about the competition you just faced these 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Your first weekend, you played at Arizona, and Arizona is, they've had one loss on the year. They're playing outstanding right now. That was the only loss you had. You went 4-1 out there, including beating Washington twice. Alabama did win the game that Alexis DeBoer hit the home run in. So I know that was the big story, but Alabama did actually win that game. And in the game that you lost to Arizona, it was a 2-1 ball game in the fifth inning. And then Arizona had just a huge bottom of the fifth inning and ended up being a run rule. But that was a game that was nip and tuck. And then this past weekend, one of the premier tournaments in all of softball is the Clearwater Invitational. And Alabama played, they went 1-4, but if we were using the basketball quad system, they were all quad 1 losses. You lost to a really good mid-major team in both San Diego State, who went to Super Regionals 2 years ago, Liberty, who I think is going to be a possible Super Regional team this year, UCLA and Oklahoma State are both probable World Series teams. And you had a lead in all five games in that tournament. The problem was, I think Alabama played 30 either decent or really good innings out of the 35, and then the 5 bad innings they spread over 5 games, and that's how you go 1-4 against really good competition. So Alabama has to find a way to finish those games where you play really well through 5 or 6 innings, finish it off in the 7th, and Alabama's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I'm counting 8 runs is the difference in those 4 losses, and really that's basically nothing. You're in every one of those games.
Yeah, like the UCLA game, Jocelyn Brisky just absolutely mowed down the Bruins through 5 innings, one of the best offenses in the country. In the 6th inning, there was an error, a walk. Next thing you know, UCLA scored 6. So it's just finding ways to keep some of those tough innings from having 1 or 2 mistakes snowball into 4 and 5, and next thing you know, you're trailing in a game you're winning.
If you guys are watching the Joe Gaither Show or listening today and you want more softball coverage, I want to encourage you to follow Tom Canterbury at TCanterburyRTR on the Twitter machine. But also, you like podcasts, download Out of the Box podcast. Tom, tell everybody where they can find the Out of the Box podcast and what you guys are maybe doing with that this year.
Sure. We are now a part of the Softball America Podcast Network.
Congratulations.
So Gray Robertson, my partner, he is a big part of Softball America. He votes in their top 25 poll. He does a couple other podcasts on the Softball America Podcast Network. Out of the Box, we focus on Alabama, but we talk a lot about SEC and national stuff as well. You can follow us at @outofthebox_pod on X. and you can get the podcast pretty much everywhere you can get your podcasts. It's, we do it weekly during the season. This next week, we're going to, in addition to a softball podcast, we're also going to do, we do a thing called the pick swap. Gray is big on movies, and I'm not as big on movies. So we do a Oscar pick where we pick all the Oscar categories, and I know nothing. He knows a lot. We see how we compare. And then in a few weeks, we're going to do a WrestleMania pick swap because I'm big into wrestling and he's not. So to see how we do, and he actually did pretty well last year. So we're going to see how we go this year. So we have fun. We do a lot of stuff. We have segments at the end of our podcast, like we have Off the Wall, where we just discuss some of the stupid comments that are made online.
No, never get made.
I know, shocking sometimes that some of our Alabama brethren go a little bit too far. And then we also have Tom's Hungry, where we talk about all the places we eat on the road. So it's not just softball, but we do break down everything softball related too.
We're hanging out with Tom Canterbury, play-by-play for Crimson Tide Sports Network, Alabama softball. Tom, I'm looking at the SEC preseason predictions, or the preseason poll from the coaches. And, all right, I'm not a softball expert, but this looks unusual. Oklahoma at 3rd, Texas 1st, Alabama at 10. Those three items are red flags to a casual like me. What's going on? Is Oklahoma not as dominant as they always have been? And 10 seems absurdly low for Alabama.
Well, I agree with you. I think 10 is absurdly low for Alabama. Although, I mean, people would say, well, they're 6-5, so maybe it was right. But again, not everybody's played an equal schedule here in the first couple of weeks. Oklahoma, their issue is that they just graduated the most successful class in softball history. The seniors they just graduated won a national championship every year they played. They went 4 straight, which has never been done. So, there's a turnover there. That being said, Oklahoma's looked really good here for the first few weeks of the season. But Texas right now is probably the most talented team in the country. They have depth that nobody else has. They have 7 pitchers, and 5 to 6 of them would probably be the number one almost anywhere that they played in. They offensively, just up and down the lineup, they can do everything. I think when we did our predictions, I predicted Florida to win the SEC, but if I had to predict somebody to win the national championship, it'd be Texas. Florida is outstanding as well. So you just kind of have a top 3 of Texas, Florida, and Oklahoma in some order that is pretty much separated themselves. But there is a huge, middle that is going to be like you could finish 9th in the SEC and still host a regional. The SEC is that deep right now. Trying to decide like who is going to finish last in this conference is very, very difficult, because even if you finish last, if you're over 500, you're making the NCAA tournament in this conference. It is as deep of any sport that the SEC or any conference in any sport is.
I think that's something that the Alabama fan base needs to continually keep in their head, because last year, I'll admit, I was surprised at hosting a regional. I thought, okay, of course they're in. But when that came out regional day and, Alabama's a host, I thought, that was my foolishness. I think that that's going to be something that we should hold on to throughout the year. This league is really good. If results don't go quite Alabama's way, I think that, look ahead to the postseason. How would you comment on that?
You were talking about the preseason poll in the SEC. The coaches' preseason poll had Alabama at 10th. Almost unanimously, all the national polls had Alabama 11th in the nation. So, it's the SEC is so dang deep, and there's going to be just 1 or 2 games that are going to differentiate like number 4 from number 8 or 9, and you're only playing 8 SEC series. So not everyone's going to play the same schedule, so it's going to be, even the final standings in the conference are not necessarily going to be 100% indicative of what the true standings are, because of different people playing different schedules. So that being said, like the SEC tournament is going to be the most ridiculous tournament this side of Oklahoma City. It's going to be from day one just an absolute knockdown, drag out brawl with the top teams in the nation. You're not going to find a better 15-team tournament anywhere than what is going to be happening in Athens, Georgia for the SEC tournament. And then, again, that's going to make like somebody's going to be one and done in the SEC tournament, like Alabama was last year, be one and done in the SEC tournament and make Oklahoma City make the Women's College World Series. It's going to happen.
It's going to be a fun year, and it starts this weekend over at the Rhodes House. I mean, we've been at it for 2 weeks, but the ladies are back in Tuscaloosa this week for the Easton Bama Bash. You got Virginia Tech, Southern Utah, and Drake. Now, obviously, those two names don't excite us too much, but the first home affair in Rhodes Stadium, first chance to see the ladies in front of a home crowd. What's the feel? Getting back, getting excited for everything at Rhodes Stadium.
Really, really exciting. The first 2 weeks, weather-wise, I was ecstatic because it was 80 degrees. It was two different types of 80 degrees because you had the desert 80 and then you had the Florida 80 for the first 2 weeks. It's going to be cold. We know that's the way it is in February in Alabama. But to be able to come back home and play in front of all the fans of the Rose House, it's going to be great. And everyone, don't worry about who the opponent is. But that being said, Virginia Tech is a top 25 team. Emma Limley, who is their main starting pitcher, one of the best in the country. Virginia Tech is not going to be any slouch to start things off for Alabama. One thing that the start has done for Alabama is there is little margin for error in the games against people like Southern Utah and Drake. So you can't take a bad loss to some of these others because some of the losses will start piling up in that resume. Because, when they look at that resume for tournament time, they look at a lot of these games in February. They look at some of these other games, how your non-conference strength of schedule was. So Alabama can't afford bad losses to go on top of what are good losses right now. So, you got to play well against Virginia Tech, play well against these other teams, and kind of start solidifying where you are in a number of spots. But I know they're very excited to get home and play in front of the Rhodes House crowd and the Alabama fans for the first time this year.
It's going to start on Friday for Alabama at 4 p.m. You guys can get over there. They've got a doubleheader Friday, 4 o'clock against Virginia Tech, 6:30 with Southern Utah, then two more Saturday, 11 a.m., then 1:30. You can get out, enjoy your morning, and then get back home. And then Sunday right after church, 12:30 against Virginia Tech again. So go have your prayers and then bounce over to the Rhodes House to have your other prayers.
I mean, on Saturday, you got the doubleheader against Drake, and you'll be done in time. Head over to Coleman Coliseum for Alabama and Kentucky. So it's going to work out well. Yeah, big day.
That's a perfect day. Tom, you mentioned wrestling, so I can't get you out of here without a question or two because we sometimes dabble, especially with the big weekends. What you think the Jey Uso stuff? That's been the main storyline. Now, I've been to 2 Raws since then. And it was just absurd. Everybody going crazy. What do you think about where we are in WWE? You're seeing a lot of Triple H is dropping the ball on this, on that, on this, on that. But we're still talking about it.
Yeah. Well, I maintain, and I always have, that no one hates wrestling like wrestling fans online. It is, oh my gosh, we're in the golden age. It is literally like never been better than it is right now from a healthiness of the sport, of the industry, not the sport, but the industry. I don't think enough has been made about the partnership right now with Total Nonstop Action. I think,
Moose last night challenging our boy Obafemi.
Absolutely. Roll Tide. You see people coming over, these matchups you never thought you can see, people like Jordan Grace moving over. I mean, I think it has never been in a better spot. I have always maintained, Joe, and you might remember this, remember the old WWE Network, which was still one of the greatest streaming services ever provided to mankind. I think Triple H's ultimate plan for the WWE Network was for all wrestling to be on that network. I think that was his goal. It was all to be under that umbrella. You saw that with him doing some of the independent shows and stuff on the network. But then AEW came along, the pandemic came along, and some of that stuff got put on the back burner. But I think the combination, the partnership with TNA is kind of part of that, to where he's bringing all this stuff together, and it's really cool to see. Now you mentioned Jey Uso. That man is as over as anybody I've ever, like, he is reaching like stone cold level over. And he is, I went to Bad Blood in Atlanta. I don't know if you went to that show or not, but he wasn't even on the show. He was in a suite and he got as big of pop as anybody that night. So the people that are complaining about him winning the Royal Rumble don't understand how wrestling works. Like it's never the wrong call to give the most over guy a big win. Even if he's not going to be in the quote main event, him and Gunther in WrestleMania is going to be great. And it's like people forgot, well, the Elimination Chamber still has to happen. So, we still can, there's so much that can still happen. Plus WrestleMania is like 3 weeks later this year. So, we got a lot of time for stuff to work out.
Gunther promised us 10 weeks of hell, and I'm here for it. I love the story aspect and obviously recognize Jay as the most over, most popular. But Gunther is the best wrestler in the company. No one takes him down. That's the way the story should go. Now,
it might. I don't think we'll live in a world where both Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes are going to be champions after WrestleMania. Yeah, but I'm not sure which one is which or how that's going to work. But yeah, that's the thing. They've made it. It is not predictable.
Yes,
but the unpredictable stuff makes sense.
That's what's been so fun,
right? Which has not always been the case with wrestling.
I keep seeing, like, I was in the camp of Cena winning at WrestleMania, winning 17th at WrestleMania, but I heard controversial character Bully Ray the other day say, "Oh, they're gonna stretch it all the way out, and he's gonna win it in his final match and just kind of leave it." As I said, that would be a beautiful moment. So maybe Cody will win, Gunther loses, and everybody yeets out of WrestleMania.
Well, sure. I mean, and here's the thing: the story, like, we talk so much about Cody Rhodes, finishing the story, but the story never ends. So let's give it. If your favorite doesn't win this time, he might win next time. That's just kind of the way that goes.
What was it? Clash of the Castle. Drew McIntyre's getting screwed over again, and everyone in the place is going boo, just losing their minds, booing. And I just thought, this is great. I like Drew McIntyre. I love it. But it was just like they're all leaving so angry. At 6:59, they're gonna be watching their TVs, ready for the next chapter. And I just think that's so much fun.
And what did that result at Clash of the Castle create? One of the best heels in the company right now, Drew McIntyre. That's how
I came back from Atlanta or from Nashville for that Vanderbilt loss. That was the night of Bad Blood. And I get back at 2 a.m. and I said, I got to start this right now. And I watched the Hell in the Cell, and I said, I cannot stay awake, but that was perfect. What a great story that turned out to be.
Yeah. I'm honored that I got to see, even though it was while I was following, unfortunately, Alabama losing at Vanderbilt, but I got to see probably the match of the year live and in person with CM Punk and Drew in the Hell in a Cell. And I think CM Punk is kind of an X factor in like how much they're going to go with him WrestleMania wise here with Elimination Chamber.
Tom, thank you so much for your time. I could talk the wrestling for another 3 hours, but you probably got to have some dinner, and we got to turn it over to the next day. Tell them one more time where they can hear all the stuff, watching, listening, everything for Crimson Tide Sports Network with the Alabama softball this year.
Absolutely. And hey, if you ever want to do a wrestling podcast, just holler at me. I'm down. For Crimson Tide Sports Network coverage of Alabama softball this year, again, we're on 100.1 FM in Tuscaloosa. CatfishTuscaloosa.com is a website that you can listen live there on the Catfish Tuscaloosa app, as well as the Varsity app. We're on all those all season long. So just download those and you can take us anywhere. This weekend, the Easton Bama Bash, we have all of the games for you. And they're using our radio feed on SEC Network Plus. And on Friday, 4:00 is the first pitch, and we're always on 15 minutes before first pitch. So 3:45 will be the airtime. Alabama, Virginia Tech, top 25 matchup. It's going to be a really high level of softball this weekend in T-Town.
get out of school, get out of work just a little early on Friday, bounce over to the Rhodes house and watch a big old matchup. Tom, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, that's our time with
There
Tom
we go.
Canterbury. Did you learn anything?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm my opinion of this softball team has maybe changed a little bit because I'm a box score watcher, so I haven't really been tuned in that hard. But he provided a little bit more insight to maybe why the beginning part of this season has gone the way that it has.
Couple big innings, couple big bad innings.
Gave me a little context. I need to look a little more big picture here, maybe, and kind of except that this season maybe is not going to look exactly the way you want it to, but that's just because everyone else is so good.
Yeah, and I think that he's weaving together a lot of parts, and so I think it's going to take some time. And I think that you might not like what the record looks like, but I think the postseason is still very much going to be in play.
That's all that matters at the end of the year. Anyway.
Right. All right, did you hear my awkward moment with him at the end?
I don't think did I miss it this time.
Yeah, well, we talked about it before.
Oh, yeah, it's a little tough.
Thank you for having me. Are you on my show or is he on my? I was on Tom's show.
Yeah,
thank you for having me.
You just stole the segment from his show and then copied it to ours. So he's gonna get like double mad now.
That's right. We appreciate Tom Canterbury. You can follow him at TCanterburyRTR on the Twitter machine. Let him know that you heard him today and thank him for his time. Make sure you tune in to those guys tomorrow, 3:45 on Crimson Tide Sports Network. They're gonna get going, get you a double header. If you're not in the area, that Catfish app is a really good way. Catfish 100.1 is a really good way to keep up with them outside of the listening area. Mason, we have wasted the people's time enough today. Actually, it was their pleasure, not ours. We are going to get out of here for the day. I'm going to go talk to head coach Patrick Murphy, read off some Katie Wyndham questions, and find out about the softball team this weekend. I've got Vanderbilt women's basketball tonight. Michaela Blake's the last time. Awesome. Yeah, 55 daggum points on Sunday, so we'll see if she can what she does. I got Vanderbilt women's
60 tonight.
That's right. You got to keep upping yourself, Miss Michaela Blakes. I've got that tonight, but we'll be back tomorrow in the Derry Daniel State Farm Studios to talk about all kinds of things, mostly Alabama basketball, but we're accepting your phone calls, 205-462-7340, extension 800. Leave us a voicemail. You can have your voice on the show tomorrow, and we'll respond to it, 205-462-7340. We're done for the day. Follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_ and myself at Joe Gaither 6, and we'll be back tomorrow on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither 6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.